I got to check out Cocaine Bear this weekend. This little horror actioner has been quite the sensation with a quirky trailer and a lot of buzz behind it. It's one of those weird stories embellished from a real-life event and is goofy enough a premise to fascinate the masses for a bit. But is the movie any good? Let's see. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Cocaine Bear is new in theaters from Universal Pictures. It's directed by Elizabeth Banks and written by Jimmy Warden. Before crashing over the forests of Georgia, a drug smuggler drops his payload of cocaine from his plane. As the drug dealers try to retrieve the coke, they run afoul of a murderous beast, the likes of which nature has never seen before. A bear who has ingested a healthy portion of cocaine. Now the dealers, a park ranger, a naturist, some hikers, some paramedics, 2 lost children, and a mother find themselves running for their lives from Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear is a premise that simply makes you smile. Sure, it makes you feel for the poor bear who ingests the potent drug, but it's one of those darkly comedic stories that makes your mind go into a million different bad scenarios. So one would think that the film would be just as fun as the trailer suggests. And it is. Cocaine Bear is a pretty fun time. It's got all the stuff from the trailer and a little bit more. We now live in an age where most of the money shots are wasted in the trailers, and that's pretty much the same case with Cocaine Bear. All of the best scenes have already been shown to the masses in the huge media push to sell the movie, which is one of the reasons I don't like a lot of mainstream horror. So if you like the trailer, you're probably going to get that same effect from the film. It's exactly what it claims to be. That said, I couldn't help but notice some fundamental flaws in Cocaine Bear. Flaws that really surprised me given the fact that this isn't Elizabeth Banks' first go-around in the director's chair. This is a film centering on the effects of cocaine, a stimulant that often makes you hyper-aware and edgy. So one would think that Cocaine Bear, the movie, would be able to give off that sort of feeling. But it doesn't. The editing in this film is a masterclass in what not to do. There's a scene later in the film where the drug dealer says, "Hey, remember that hiker we ran into?" And then we get a clunky flashback to something that happened like 10 minutes ago. It's an out-of-the-blue flashback that felt extremely jarring. Sure, if it were like a Family Guy skit where the film constantly refers back to something that just happened, it might have been funny, but it's the only time this happens, and it feels like the most amateur of filmmaking. But that's just one scenario. Apart from the ambulance chase you've seen in the trailer, which is undoubtedly the most entertaining scene in the film, Cocaine Bear feels bogged down and clunky. The scenes where action is supposed to be occurring are lazily edited. The pacing is off. And with Banks being a comedic actor herself, one would think she'd have more skill at hitting the right beats to prolong tension and wham you with the punchline, which in this case is the bear scare. Too many times people are explaining jokes to the audience, dropping exposition bombs when what's going on is pretty obvious. Too many times cliched scenarios are used, but for some reason the writer and director felt that just because it has a cocaine bear in it, it's different enough. One-liners like a joke about a dusty beaver is cut off so abruptly that one might have taken it as a serious throwaway line and not a joke. Because the rhythm of Cocaine Bear is completely off, the desired effect of laughs, jolts, and thrills are hard to come by. The cast is pretty solid and sports a lot of talent, and they're not pushed to their fullest potential. Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., is solid in the role, but the actor really needs some more time in front of the camera. He has an action scene where he's obviously trying to be nonchalantly cool while taking care of 3 punks, but he just doesn't sport the gravitas to make this fight scene feel believable or give any impact to the story. His scenes feel like he's reading lines, not acting. Kerry Russell plays a worried mom, and this is probably one of the worst performances of her career. She has nothing to do but scream for her kids, and has the convenient characteristic of being a nurse, which is only mentioned when nurse things need to be nursed. Ray Liotta is always a force of nature to work with, but he's kind of a cardboard cutout bad guy here, and it's a shame that this was his final role, because it's far from his best. The kid actors are kid actors, given lines adults would think are cute, things no kid would actually say themselves. Margot Martindale is another wasted opportunity and is given little to work with, but she does her best. Of the big cast, I found myself endeared most to Isaiah Whitlock Jr.'s side story about his new dog. The actor really sells this role that could have been a throwaway cop part. But the one who made the biggest impression was Solo's Alden Ehrenreich, who at least feels like he was giving his all comedically and dramatically. He's the only one who came to the set to act in this one and was actually given the lines to do something. Yes, all the craziness of the trailers are in Cocaine Bear, and I laughed at them, even though I'd seen them before. That's the ad department's fault, I guess. Still, it affected the way I saw the film. Maybe in a few years, this might age better, but for the most part, Cocaine Bear relies on it being a film about a bear who does cocaine, and just in case you missed it in the title, it tells you that over and over again. It's one of those films where the cast and crew knew the joke and felt that that was enough to ride on for the entirety of the movie. The bear actually looks pretty great, about 95% of the time. I was impressed at how good the renderings of the obvious bear looked as it goes through the different actions and carnage. I imagine there will be a sequel, even though I can name a ton of other films that deserve one a lot more. But apart from the aforementioned ambulance scene, I couldn't help but feel that had this film been in more capable hands in the scripting, directing, and especially the editing departments, it could really have been something. I could only imagine what it would have been like in the hands of someone like the director of Crank, with all of the hyperactivity and kineticism that film exuded. As is, Cocaine Bear is exactly what you would think it would be, and not a thing more than just that. You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside